The Roman Colosseum mystery. Did tigers really lose to imperial lions? One rules by roar. One rules by silence. Tonight, the lion meets the tiger, and nature decides who's truly unstoppable. What if the most famous fight in history was a lie? For 2,000 years, one image has defined the Roman arena: the triumphant lion, mane flowing, standing over its defeated foe. We see it everywhere in their art and culture. The lion is the undisputed king of the Colosseum. But the Romans were masters of propaganda. And the few surviving accounts of the actual fights tell a very different and much more surprising story. So, what really happened when the lion, the symbol of the empire, came face to face with the deadliest predator from the east? Let's journey back to the blood-drenched sands of the amphitheater to settle the ancient debate. Section 1. The Lion's Reign, a symbol of Roman power. To understand the show, you have to understand Roman thinking. The lion wasn't just an animal, it was a symbol. It stood for everything Rome valued: courage, strength, and imperial power. Lions, especially the now extinct Barbary lion from North Africa, were relatively easy for the empire to get. This made them a common sight in the venationes, the brutal animal hunts that kicked off the games. Roman art overwhelmingly pushes this idea. Mosaics and statues almost always show the lion winning, a powerful metaphor for Rome's dominance over the unconquered world. When an emperor sponsored games, he wasn't just providing a day out, he was staging a PR event. He was showing the people he could command the fiercest beasts from the farthest corners of the earth. One source claims that during a series of games, 400 lions were killed. The lion's majestic mane also gave it a more spectacular look, making it a crowd favorite. In the Roman mind, the lion was king, and their art was a constant reminder. The story was simple: the lion wins, so Rome wins. But what if this was all a carefully crafted illusion? Because one surviving document from the Colosseum's opening games blows that entire image apart. Section 2. The Tiger's Tale, a poet's bombshell. In 80 AD, Emperor Titus opened the brand new Flavian amphitheater, what we now call the Colosseum, with 100 days of non-stop games. It was an unbelievable spectacle of violence. Sources give different numbers, but the historian Cassius Dio suggests a jaw-dropping 9,000 animals were slaughtered, while others, like Eutropius, cite a lower but still huge number of 5,000. In the middle of all this chaos, a new and terrifying creature made a rare appearance: the tiger. Tigers were the ultimate exotic import. They were much harder to get than lions, sourced from distant India and the Hyrcanian forests near the Caspian Sea. Just getting them to Rome was a logistical nightmare, so their presence in the arena was proof of the emperor's incredible power. They were a novelty, a creature of savage beauty and terrifying speed that mesmerized the Roman people. And it's from these very first games that we get the most explosive piece of evidence, not from a historian, but from a poet named Martial. In his Book of Epigrams, Martial describes a fight he witnessed. He writes, "A tigress, wont to lick her master's hand, in pieces tore a lion in his rage, a thing not known before in any age." This is the bombshell. While Roman art crowned the lion, Martial's poem describes a shocking upset. He frames it as something totally new and unheard of. Now we have to be careful. Martial was a poet, not a reporter. His job was to create drama, and he might have spiced things up for effect. Still, it's the only detailed surviving account of a tiger-lion fight from the Colosseum's opening, and it directly challenges the official story of the lion's supremacy. Tells us that not only could a tiger win, but one did, and it was spectacular. But before we declare the tiger the champion, you have to understand the grim reality of the games. Was this even a fair fight? The answer reveals a business more brutal than the battles themselves. Section 3. The brutal business of the arena. To really understand these fights, you have to look at the grim reality of how these animals got there. The capture and transport of wild beasts was a massive, brutal industry. Lions from North Africa were often caught in giant pit traps, sometimes lured by a tethered goat or driven by horsemen with torches into huge nets. Capturing tigers was even more dangerous and surrounded by folklore. The writer Pliny the Elder described a method where hunters would steal cubs from a den. As the enraged mother gave chase, the hunter would drop a cub to slow her down, repeating this until he could get away with the rest. Other tales mention using mirrors to distract a tigress, who would supposedly mistake her reflection for a cub, though this sounds more like a legend than a common practice, as reliable sources to back it up are missing. Once captured, the animal's ordeal was far from over. They were stuffed into dark crates and shipped across the empire on a journey many didn't survive. Before a fight, they were often starved and provoked to make them as aggressive as possible for the crowd. This wasn't a fair fight between two healthy animals. It was a staged slaughter where the condition of the animals was a huge variable. The winner wasn't always the stronger species, but maybe just the animal that was less starved, less injured, or simply angrier that day. The sheer brutality of these spectacles is confirmed by finds far from Rome itself. At a Roman cemetery in York, England, archaeologists found a skeleton with shocking injuries. Analysis published in 2025 confirmed that bite marks on the man's pelvis were matched to a lion, providing direct physical evidence of a man being mauled by a big cat. The wounds hadn't healed, suggesting the attack happened at the time of death. This discovery confirms how brutal these animal encounters were, even in the far-flung provinces, but it doesn't tell us who won in the animal versus animal fights. So if the art is propaganda, written accounts are rare, and the animals themselves were traumatized. How do we find the truth? The answer isn't about which animal was stronger. CTA. Evidence is a puzzle with most of the pieces missing. Roman art tells one story, but a poet's surviving verse tells another. The brutal logistics of the games suggest any fight's outcome was a roll of the dice. The mystery of the Colosseum's top predator lives on because the Romans cared more about blood and spectacle than scorekeeping. So what's your verdict? Based on what we know, who do you think ruled the arena? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoy solving ancient mysteries, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Conclusion. So did tigers really lose to imperial lions in the Roman Colosseum? The answer is, almost certainly not always. The popular image of the lion as the undisputed champ is mostly a product of Roman propaganda. Lions were the symbol of Roman might, and they made sure their art reflected that story. But the single most direct account of a battle, from the poet Martial, gives the win to the tiger in stunning fashion. Modern experts often suggest a tiger's larger size might give it an advantage in a one-on-one fight. But the Colosseum wasn't a natural setting. The animals were stressed, hurt, and forced into an open space that didn't favor any particular fighting style. No one kept win-loss records, because that was never the point. The real winner in these contests was always the emperor. By dragging these terrifying beasts from opposite ends of the world and making them fight to the death, Rome proved its ultimate power. It wasn't about whether the lion or the tiger won. It was about showing the world that Rome could make them both lose. The mystery remains, buried under the bloody sands of entertainment, leaving us with just the echo of a roar and a legend that isn't the whole truth.